What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another edition of O Tangents, Office Hour Tangents, OT, where I come straight from class and I go off on the tangents that we went in for the day. But today is a little different because I have a guest today. And I'm just going to introduce him right now. He is one of my first students, me being a professional professor, right? And I'm just going to tell a story real quick about my first day at Florida A&M University. So this is a little bit of the story. I was called literally a week before classes started for the fall. And I wasn't called, but they called up to Ohio State where I was, I had just finished grad school. And there was a mutual relationship. So the dean at the time at Florida A&M, rest in peace, Dr. Mukes.
Dr. Mukes.
Right? Dr. Mukes, he called my mentor at Ohio State, Noel Mayo. They had met at a conference or something, and he called like, hey.
Was Dr. Mukes from Ohio?
He wasn't from Ohio.
Where's he from?
I don't know, but it was definitely South.
Definitely Alabama.
Yeah, but he was like, I need a, do you know of any kind of professors of color, right? Because it's Florida A&M, but it didn't necessarily have to be honest.
Right.
But they needed a professor that had the right credentials, meaning a MFA.
It's good for the aesthetic.
Yeah, and but because they had a bunch of adjuncts that when accreditation came through, they said, hey, they had too many adjunct teachers teaching, and a lot of them didn't have the right credentials. They just had like undergrad degrees or something like that, so they got docked for it. So all those ads, I think it was like 3 or 4, at least 3, was gone like overnight, and they just needed, and they brought me in to replace those 3 people.
Right.
It was crazy. So he was like, yeah, Brandon, he just graduated. I was adjunct teaching at the time, like just making ends meet. I was trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to take over the world. And I interviewed for the job. I applied for the job, interviewed for the job, and got the job in like 2 days over the phone.
That sounds like my introduction to high school teaching.
Right? You just got to be prepared for the moment.
Yeah.
I was prepared for the moment. I had my portfolio ready. I didn't have to get together my portfolio, and I had to get together my curriculum vitae. I was ready to go. That's the message. Like, I was just ready. So, and then he was like, yeah, and class is starting a week. Can you get down here? I was like, yup. So I packed up my whip with whatever. I had a condo. I had a mortgage and everything.
Where, in Ohio?
In Ohio.
You had a mortgage? How old were you?
I was 29.
Oh yeah, you was balling.
I was a grown up. So I packed up my car, my Nissan Altima, and with whatever to fit in there, just like a crate, like 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 spoons, 2 knives, like just enough for me to live. I drove down to Florida, 12 hours or something like that. And
that's all it is a 12-hour?
I can't even remember. It was a long.
Oh, it's Tallahassee. It's
Tallahassee. It's top.
Because it takes like 6 hours to get to Tally from South Florida.
Word. So anyway, long story short, I get down there, get a little cheap apartment, and
it's craft.
I had to he's like, okay, and they told me like, you're going to be teaching 5 classes. You're going to be teaching 5 classes.
5 classes is a lot, though, as a college professor, right?
It's a lot. For me, this is my first full-time gig, and I had to write them. They were like, yeah, they've been taught before, and I looked at the content, and it was barely any content because nothing was really online. It wasn't like what it is now with Canvas and stuff like that and Blackboard. Yeah. So I just, I wrote all the classes as I went, like week by week. I was writing classes. And so the first day of class, I go in there, and it was 30 kids. And today's guest is one of those kids. And 15 years later, I just want to introduce Deontray McCray.
Yay!
Oh, shoot, I got sound effects.
Yeah, do the sound effects.
Oh, shoot. See? It's like a live show. It's not live, but it's like live, right?
Right.
So this is my guest. So it's like my first day teaching as a professional professor. And this is like my first, and I think he was a freshman.
No, I was a sophomore.
You was a sophomore?
I used to be a history major.
Wow. So that was your first design class?
That was my first design class. No, I had, what's his name? Blyden.
Okay.
Well, that really wasn't design. It was like print,
right.
Typesetting type stuff.
But the second in that building.
Yeah. Yeah, you were my first out. Basic design principles. Yeah.
I still teach that class. It's called
word?
Basic Graphic Design now.
Basic graphic design. So you still do the 4 programs. I know the first part is Photoshop.
No,
the
that
second
was
part is Illustrator.
That's different. That was I'm trying to get that implemented now here.
Right. You should.
Because I thought that was a strong class. It just
Honestly,
got the basis of everything.
It really crafted. Buzzword. It really crafted me as a designer though, because I feel like even today when I talk to people in the world, like it's like I feel my value in my business is the fact that I know Photoshop, I know Illustrator, I know InDesign, I know After Effects, and even if I'm not the greatest or the strongest in After Effects and InDesign,
Yep.
I'm aware of them, so I can verbalize what I want, what I'm trying to see. I can say, okay, well, move the kerning in this a little bit. You know, I don't like the bleeds on this, or
Right.
I can kind of get really specific to kind of communicate with somebody who that is their thing. So I think the value is in the the whole creative suite as a whole.
Bro, and I have one of my past tangents. I talk about how Macromedia changed Adobe and how Figma is now changing the game. And Canva is, I have a whole thing on how Canva just bought Affinity. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did hear that.
So, they're going to be a true competitor to Adobe now,
Right.
I think. And that's going to change everything, right? Competition
Yeah.
breeds.
I mean, competition
greatness.
breeds innovation.
Yeah. So, but that class was dope because it's a pushback to have that kind of class. And I pushed back on it before, even at FAM. But y'all had that class first. So y'all learned, I taught it like, you learned Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, Flash, and then Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
That's how I taught it,
Yeah,
right?
I remember.
And you got basically 2.5 weeks per software program.
Hold on. Let me stop you. You know what just glared in my head?
What?
The Butterfly Project.
It's
The Butterfly Project with the rotation tool.
it was a great project.
Nah, it was just great. I mean, I remember it like take the butterfly, put it at the top, put the rotation tool in the middle, rotate it all the way around clockwise.
15 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sharp.
I tell students now, I was like, hey, you want to learn a pen tool? Make a butterfly. And they're like,
my
what?
God.
I'm like, just draw a butterfly. If you can draw a symmetrically perfect butterfly with the pen tool, then you know the pen tool,
Right.
I think.
Honestly, I mean, the pen tool was the most important tool to know because you don't really need to know nothing else but the pen tool.
In Illustrator.
It would be good if you did, but I mean, what for?
And I taught Illustrator first because I feel like that's the most difficult program to grasp in the suite.
It's one of the most difficult programs, along with it being essential, especially in printmaking.
Yeah.
Because vector graphics are like king, if anything, because you can expand things, you can enlarge, you can expand things, and collapse things without them being losing resolution. So like that being so important as a staple, because like when you're dealing with reproduction, signs, things that are small enough to go on a pen, or things big enough to go on an airplane.
Word. So as he's speaking about this, let me and I'll let you take it over. But Deontray, he owns his own. Would you call it a design company?
Branding company.
He owns his own branding company. Like I'm proud of him. Like I'm actually proud of this brother.
Aw, don't make me cry here.
I'm really proud of this brother. Like
Don't make me cry.
and it's one of those things where how do we hook up down here?
It just was funny because I saw you out on me and Kenan were together one day, and I was like, bro, I know that's not B Craft at City Place. I said, I don't know if that's B Craft. I think that's B Craft. And then I hit you on Twitter that day and was like, are you in Palm Beach?
Are you in Palm Beach? Yup.
And I was like, yo, how did you get to my city? And it just was such a ironic thing because I can even speak about the first introduction since we kind of going back in the crates. First off, B looks the same since the first day I walked in his room, aesthetically and everything. He had on a white polo, legit white polo, cool in the gang.
Cool.
He had
know
a
my
white
terminology, right?
Yeah, he had a white polo on and slacks, and I just remembered I got something that I was never gonna tell him until I got there. But my goal was to get B a Rolex, because I remember the first thing he said, he was like, I just want a Rolex. I just want a Rolex. Like I just want a nice watch. So I always remembered that. So,
I was a watch dude back then.
yeah, it just was real funny.
I think I said in the class, like the only thing I could see spending money on is watches.
Yeah, watch. Yeah,
Just crazy money on watches.
yeah.
But yeah, that was dope. Just running into each other, hooking up down here.
Kids the same age.
And we have kids that are the same age. They was playing basketball together.
Before my son broke his foot, and I almost crashed out on the coach.
That was entertaining. We still talk about that.
Can we talk about it now?
We can talk about it now.
So this is what happened. It's a funny story.
What had happened was, so my son, I'm going to get back into the origin story, but my son, we were at the basketball game, and Breaker's really good. I don't know if you guys can see, like, Breaker is just like... That's my son's name, Breaker.
Breaker's like crazy. Can we say Breaker's name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Breaker's really good. Yeah, like, when I seen him, I just felt like I was watching Steph Curry as, like, 8 years old. And I was like, yo, if my son was shooting threes and shooting the way he's shooting and is passionate, I said, I don't know if I would be able to contain myself. I would be going crazy on the sideline. But okay, back to the story. But
like his mama.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were it's so funny that oh God. But it was so funny that so we were playing the game, whatever, the first quarter, we're getting scrubbed. Like from the jump.
It wasn't fair.
It wasn't fair. But you know what? It was the kids' first game. So we
were second graders and they were third.
Mm-hmm. So we get there. We're losing by maybe 12 points in the first quarter. Kids are playing hard though. Breaker's breakering.
Yeah.
he's still showing glimpses of like greatness. So, you know, my son's on the sideline. He's having a good time playing, you know how kids play on the sideline. First quarter goes by and I'm just like, okay. Well, you know, first game. So second quarter goes by. We're losing by 20 points or something like that. And I'm just looking. I'm like, all right, well, you know, one of the parents comes up to me and says, hey, you know, I'm not trying to be in your business, but, you know, Deontray's not, you know, getting in the game. And I said, you know what? I said, okay, I brushed it off. I mean, you know, I don't want to be the hover dad. So, cool. Third quarter goes by. My son still doesn't get in the game. Fourth quarter comes by. Mind you, I wasn't aware of the AAU culture and the AAU circuit. I was kind of treating AAU like it was like a recreational like city league, and it's really not. AAU's for the good kids. It's for the kids who are like fully aware of basketball and have like a good grasping concept of basketball. So, you know, first game goes by, my son doesn't get in. I'm not tripping too hard. There's 2 games. You know what I mean? His mom comes up to me and asks me, and I said, you know, it's cool. Mind you, my cousin owns the team.
Right.
Let's just start. My cousin owns the team, and I'm the brand coordinator of the team. So, second game goes by. I walk up to B. B's on the sideline. He's cool. He's chilling. And I say, B, he didn't get in the game at all. Like, should I feel away? And B looks at me and he says, nah, it's cool, man. Just kind of, you know, let's just chill. So I was like, you know what? B's cool. B's calm, collected. I'm going to be the same. I'm not going to trip. Okay. Game 2 comes by. First quarter, we're losing by 20. We're getting scrubbed.
This was a 4th grade team.
This is a 4th grade
second
team.
Graders, right?
Yeah, we're getting scrubbed like to the floor. And I said, okay, whatever. And I'm still not really tripping. But the halftime comes. A few more parents come up to me and says, you know what? It's really bothering me that they haven't even entered Deontray in the game. And we're doing, you know, not as well as we probably.
And he has a uniform on.
He has a uniform on. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's just like, and the thing is, he's not. It was his first time playing basketball, so he could at least run around and get in front of him. I mean, we couldn't have been doing any worse. You know, he'll play a little defense maybe.
Right.
So, you know, halftime comes and I'm just like, okay, now I'm a little upset. I've been in Miami. I drove to Miami. I've been here for 4 hours for my child and not even get in the game. Cool. Okay. Fourth quarter comes and I look at the coach and I say, Coach, and I just pointed.
I remember.
And he looked at me and he said the worst thing you could possibly say to me at that time. He asked me if I wanted to coach the team. And I said some things that I can't say on camera right now, but I was fuming and livid. I would have flipped the table. I mean, it got so bad till the ref had to stop the game. The ref stopped the game.
I think they stopped the game. The game was over at that moment. We were getting smashed.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was funny, though.
That was like welcome to basketball moment.
Yeah, it was definitely a welcome to basketball moment. I almost left in handcuffs. I'll say that much.
That was a crazy situation. Like, tangent. See, this one I would have that video.
Yeah.
I'm like, tangent. But, that was So that was our first introduction to it. And, that was the last time we played with that team. I reached out to your cousin.
Yeah.
He was cool about it. He said there was some misunderstandings. And it was funny, that first team we played is the team that Breaker plays on. So he was playing like his friends.
That's funny.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, also he was trying
to
show out.
At the time, he was in first grade.
Oh, yeah.
No. Yeah, at the time, he was in
first grade because Deontray was in second grade.
He was in first grade, so he was playing up to second. So, I remember that. That was a crazy day.
That was funny in hindsight.
So, no doubt. Getting back to, so let's talk about your branding company just a little bit. So what made you, so when you graduated FAM, and we're going to get back into the fan days too, but when you graduated FAM, what was your kind of like, in a nutshell, process from, because I know you said you taught for a minute, and how you led to getting your own branding company?
So that's kind of a long-winded story, but I kind of try to shift it.
Yeah.
So it started really weird because, you might not know, but I had like 3 jobs in college. I was a night auditor at a hotel.
Yeah.
I was a night auditor. I also had an internship at WRLD where I was like a concert promoter. We did like the first Wake and Bake tour. So I was interning there. I was a night auditor, and I also was working at my apartment complex for free rent. So
hustling.
Yeah. What did I find the time? Oh, and I was doing flyers for you boys.
Flyers
for my boys. Flyers for my boys.
every day.
Yeah. I always kind of was just like, I know when I was my sophomore year, my brother was doing some stuff, and I remember calling my mom one day and just like, you know what? Don't send me no more money. I'm gonna figure it out.
I wish all students had your drive.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna just, we gonna do what we gotta do. So I ended up working as a night auditor for a minute. Taught me, I really accredit my design prowess a lot to being a night auditor. Those nights on YouTube, trying to search up how to do certain things. I was literally doing all my homework, watching Photoshop videos, tutorials with Linda, bootlegging Linda. Pirate Bay and Linda.
Right.
Getting all the Linda videos, just trying to like sharpen up because I never really I'm not gonna say school wasn't for me, like I was a rapper, but like I thought I was dumb a majority of my life until I got to college and realized, because not even knowing that I just went to really good schools. Like I went to Suncoast. So Suncoast was the number 8 school in the nation by News Weekly when I was in high school. So like when you were around that kind of talent and that kind of like aptitude, like it forces you to kind of raise your level.
No doubt.
Like it forces you. It's almost like not being a good player on a great team. Like the last person on a great team is usually pretty good. Like what's his name? The dude, Scalabrine, Brian Scalabrine for the Boston Celtics. The year they won the ship. Brian Scalabrine might have not got in the game, but he'll give you 50 points in the pickup.
Man, we always used to say that. We had this dude back where I'm from, Samaki Walker. He went to my high school. Okay. He actually ended up playing for the Lakers. He has a ring with Kobe. He was on the Kobe and Shaq teams. He has a ring, Samaki Walker. I remember him blocking my shop in the open gym at Eastmore. But, he didn't get that much burn. But Samaki Walker
will give you 50.
Will give you whatever you need.
He will give you 50.
Yeah.
Pause. Big pause. Hey, yo.
Word. No doubt. Like, I'm all for that. That's why I was in classes. I like when there are enough driven students to drive each other.
Right. Iron sharpens iron. Because I remember coming into class every day like, yo, like I used to come in class like he can attest to it. I used to come in class like Allen Iverson every day. Like in my head, I was Allen Iverson. And I was like, yo, I'm about to give all of y'all 50. So get ready. And then they'll be like, oh, you're not about to give me 50. And then I drop 50.
I'm focusing on my face. Like, we used to go at it.
And then I drop 50, and it's just like, everybody's like, well, I didn't know you was that good. I was like, no, I just want it more than y'all do.
I recognize it. So, okay, so we'll get back to your company.
Yeah.
At FAM. So, this is my first class, right? So, this is the deal. I come into class. It's like all seats filled and some standing. It was like standing room only. It was packed. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I left. Like, I love teaching at FAM. Let's put it out there right now. I loved it. I actually loved it. But I did not love having 35, 40 people in each class.
Yeah, you can't really give everybody being former teacher, you really can't give everybody the attention that they need. You know what I mean? Because at that point, as a teacher, you kind of have to say, all right, who really wants it? Let me focus on that. I mean, I know some of you guys are taking this class to kind of fulfill a requirement, and it shows in the work every time.
And that's what, you kind of, every professor has a different strategy on that. But 35 kids in a design class was intimidating. But this is why it was super intimidating. First of all, it's a HBCU.
Oh, yeah.
So these are all my people looking at me. And but they looking at me like this. So I touch on this subject a little bit in another one of these old tangents when I'm talking about how I use comic tropes. Okay. I didn't even know I was doing it until I realized I was doing it.
What's a comic trope?
So so I watch comics. I almost study comics. I think they're the geniuses of our generation.
Who's your favorite comic? Let's get this out of the way.
Historically or now?
Of all time, don't matter.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Why?
Of all time?
Why?
I like Renaissance man. He could do a lot of things well. If he wanted to sell out an arena for a stand-up, he could do that and it'd be hilarious. Mm-hmm. He can act dramatically and comically. He can sing.
I got something that's about to be
Renaissance.
I got something that's about to be blasphemous to you.
I don't even want to hear it. I don't even know if I want to hear it.
I've never seen Delirious.
It's like, have you seen Raw?
Never seen Raw.
Okay.
I've never seen any of them.
Let me see your black card.
Here you go.
I
mean, but you gotta remember, I was born in 90.
That's like me saying.
I was born in 90.
I know that, but I've seen Richard Pryor's best stand-ups.
Never seen any of
That's not my generation. That was in the 70s.
I never seen Richard Pryor.
You should see, I think, okay, I'm gonna be honest. Watch Raw. Raw was the second one, Delirious is the first one. Okay. There's debates on who's the best. It's kind of like off-the-wall thriller. Mm-hmm. That's how good they are. And I particularly like Raw better, but Delirious is more raw, if that makes sense.
Well, my goat is Chris Rock. I love Chris Rock.
But when you watch Eddie Murphy, those two, you'll realize why Chris Rock is Chris Rock, why Tracy Morgan is Tracy Morgan, why Marlon Wayans,
I don't like Tracy
Dave
Morgan.
Chappelle, all these cats are like mini Eddie Murphys. Just like Eddie Murphy was like a mini Richard Pryor.
Well, so don't take my Eddie Murphy take as a take of me not liking it.
No, I'm gonna stop you. You gonna watch it and I bet you learn from it.
I'm pretty sure I like it.
Almost like you're watching like something and you're like gonna learn, not just laugh.
I'm pretty sure I enjoy it, but like the Eddie Murphy I like was like movie Eddie Murphy.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
It's not the same guy.
Cool.
But going back to the point, you see how he commands the stage. Mm-hmm. So for instance, I come into the room, 35 people, and they're all like this because they're expecting another professor that's been teaching and they thought the other professor's name was on the schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm about to have, I'm not going to say the names, but they expected a professor that they loved.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So they come in and they're like,
I didn't even know you was a teacher.
Because I was 29. I looked like one of y'all.
Yeah. I just was like, who's this dude standing at the podium with his arms folded?
The first question was, how old are you? Like, that was one of the first questions. How, like almost like, how old are you? Like,
the girl asked.
It's a girl.
Yeah. I remember her.
Danella. I forgot how.
Yeah. I know you're talking about. I tell you talking about.
It might have been her. But anyway,
she was a shea butter mommy.
It was like, how old are you? But it was just like, like finding a reason to hate on me.
Yeah.
And everybody was in there like that.
You know how we are. We about to check your credentials while having none.
It's like the Apollo.
Yeah, while having no credentials, check yours.
So what I had to do first was speak confidently.
Right.
So I had to speak up and confidently, like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And look at my work. And
like, as a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact.
I remember.
And I went straight into my work.
I remember.
Look at what I've done.
The first thing you did was pulled up Star 360.
Let's go.
And showed Flash.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who taught this before, but I bet you he don't do what I do. And it was like, that's the attitude I had.
Yo, it's so funny because, like, that's the first thing that I remember my first day teaching. I was like, you know what? If nothing else, I want to be credible. Because if you're credible, nothing else really matters.
Right.
Like, you can be a butthead, you can be as terrible as you want, but if you got a wicked jump shot, you got a wicked jump shot.
Come on. Yeah. What else you can just watch me and get better.
Basically.
Like, if you can do, see, a lot of professors, well, I won't say a lot, in the professorial profession,
Yeah.
You know, you do get because
You just made that word up?
yeah. Professor. I actually use it a lot. I don't even know if it's a word, but I use it a lot because how else do you say that?
Yeah.
When you need that, I think you need that word. I don't think
I
any
got
other
what
word.
you meant.
Yeah, no doubt.
I guess it's a word then.
In the professorial profession, you'll find a lot of professors that come in fresh, especially in our field. Like we work, they'll come in fresh and they work, and then they stop being a professional. They just start being a professor only. Yeah. So their stuff gets stale, and then after 20 years, they're still teaching the same stuff from 20 years ago.
You become less credible.
Huh? I just mouthed. So that we had a professor at FAM, and she had been there a long time.
Oh, I heard you say it.
She had been there a long time.
The Mustang lady.
She had been there a long time.
Yeah.
And you know, I like her, but
she hated me.
I could see that.
I think she was the R word.
I could see that, but she was like, I could see like she would print out worksheets, and I would see them on the printer, and I'm like, you could tell she made these 20 years ago. You could tell the graphics. She's been using the same worksheet for 20 years.
You know who I used to think she was?
What?
Anna Winter.
I don't know who that is.
Anna Winter? You don't know? Vogue lady? She has like the bob cut, wears the Chanel jackets.
If I seen her, like, oh, that girl.
Yeah.
But she was actually, I mean,
Premium.
she was good at what she did.
She was premium milk.
But she was very in our profession. I think I'm not saying any names, but you know, in that building we had a print shop. We had a full print shop.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't let y'all touch.
Mr. R would not let you touch it.
She wouldn't let you. It's like, why have it if the students can't use it?
Yeah.
So it's like that. And we had a full, so to put it in perspective, in our department at FAM, we had a full, like, big, giant photo photography studio. Mm-hmm. With like a full dark room that was just never used. I used that table in the photo room as our critique station.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it was really entrenched in this old tech.
Well, see, the thing about it was entrenched in old tech, but like, I don't think that they paid homage to nostalgia. They care about nostalgia because, like, think about right now how valuable a Lightroom, learning a Lightroom would be with the boom of, like, one of my best friend's little brother. He owns a camera shop in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. His name's Photo Dom, and he was on Square's page last year. They did a full write-up on him. He made $1 million his first year opening up just film. All he did was film. Like, people would come and get their throwaway cameras, their pictures exposed, like all that kind of stuff. I think it's exposed, right? Exposed.
Yeah.
Printed, whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, it was crazy. And I don't know, but you know what it is? I like to compare the years that I was there to like the rebuild of like a team. You know how like when the quarterback gets traded and they say, well, we're gonna go younger. And like they go through a couple Cardinal years, Arizona Cardinal years, and it's like, okay, we're getting a new coach, getting a new GM, and like the players on the team right now are just suffering through like 0-12 seasons.
The Texans.
The Texans.
Up until now.
Oh God, they just got Stephon yesterday.
Come on now. Jesus. I might be a Texans fan.
I am a Texans fan.
Because, you know, C.J. Stroud went to Ohio State.
Oh, okay. I see the correlation.
And he's
a stud.
He is. I'm like, yeah, he's... But the thing is, at Ohio State, you saw, like, this dude would throw... It felt like he could throw and hit a dime on the ground. He was so accurate.
Crazy accurate.
So I get what you're saying. It was like they brought me in, and I like, instantaneously brought a different...
Like it was a first-round pick.
It was.
Yeah.
But they got me... It's like they got me...
You didn't have no wide receivers or no offensive
They got me in the 5th round. Oh. Because you think about the last-minute nature of it.
Yeah.
They got me in the 5th round. They got me for 5th round money, right? And I come in there, but I'm teaching 5 classes, so I'm teaching like half the curriculum.
Josh Dobbs.
And I change it. So I won't say there was hate, but there was I remember one of the older professors there. I remember him telling me one day, like, pulling me aside after a meeting, like, my young brother. But this guy was white. Because we just don't think HBCUs have white people too. Like, don't.
Yeah.
So when you hear historically,
I need to talk about the photography teacher.
Tall.
Tungsten Daylight Man.
Yes.
That was the name of his website. Tungsten Daylight. Yeah, he was the photography teacher. I know you're talking about. I had him during the summer.
He was like, you got to calm down. You know, I'll be in there passionate. We need this. We need to be doing this. He's like, bro, like, we all was like that.
Everybody needs a table shaker though.
And you're just gonna get beat up and beat down. Your best advice to you is just to chill and just
See,
realize this is a good gig and just chill.
Translation. Hey, I'm about to retire soon. I'm not trying to do no more work.
Bro, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I was in there like, so that's one of the reasons I did have to leave. Like I always find I did, but because they wouldn't go online. Remember, that was the push I wanted to, like, we need to be online right now. Like, we're, like, behind already because we're not online. They're like, well, I'm like, we need to be online, like, tomorrow.
The only thing about online, especially doing what we were doing, imagine trying to send a 200 megabyte file in 2009. Oh, my God. A day. It's like downloading from LimeWire.
It wasn't as far away as you think. Like, we was on Blackboard.
Yeah, it was on, but you know the weight of files.
And you just optimize it.
You optimize it.
You remember, okay, put it in perspective. When I first started teaching, all my class, I made up my own website.
You did.
Remember that?
Star 360.
And all the information was on, no, it was like, blah, 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 FAMU. And it's like all the syllabus.
It was an extension of Star 360.
It was.
It was a backslash.
It's before I had BrandanCraft.com, that's right. And I had the syllabus, I had all the assignments online because we wasn't even using it was like Blackboard was an option. You didn't have to use it.
Right.
And I had all of this stuff online. We didn't go to Canvas until...
What's Canvas?
Well, Canvas is like the competitor to Blackboard. It's pretty much the industry standard now.
Oh, okay.
CMS for teachers. But I think we was mandated to use Blackboard or something, maybe my third year there, and then I transferred everything. But I was always like thinking about ways to like, I don't want to print out paper. Like I'm not printing out a bunch of pieces of paper and handing y'all paper.
I never printed anything as a teacher. Ever.
Me neither.
Ever. Print for what? Listen, you better get on this, what is it called? You better get on this drive.
Word.
This cloud drive and download the work and email it to yourself. I'm not printing nothing, man.
Exactly. So you graduate.
Yep, 2012.
What do you do immediately after graduation?
Oh God, I got another story. So I was working for my housing.
Yeah.
So I was working hard, man. Like I had a story. I remember being I worked for Asset Student Campus Housing in a station in like College Station, but I was in Tally. So I remember we had like a symposium thing where we all kind of met up and the president came. Yeah. And it was like, well, tell a story of how you helped sign a lease or something. And I remember I just had like this story. It was this kid whose mom was sick and he didn't have his dad in his life, and he had to get to FAM. He was from Orlando or Tampa area, and he caught the Greyhound to get there, and he had class on Monday, and he just was like, man, I'm gonna get there late. I need some place to stay. This is all I got. I got just enough money to kind of pay to get into a room, And he just was like, man, I'm not gonna get in till like 8:30 at night. And I said, and I was talking to my manager, my leasing manager, and she just was like, well, just tell him he's SOL. And I was like, SOL? I was like, this man just cried his heart out to me and told me that like he ain't got nowhere to stay. His mom's sick. He can't even really afford to be here. So I said, listen, give me the keys. I'm gonna stay here till 8:30. I'm gonna chill, eat some what are those cookies called? It's a brand of cookies that you can only get through like a commercial cookie, almost like a DoubleTree cookie. Okay. It's the same brand. But yeah, I'm staying there drinking coffee, eating cookies, waiting for him. I actually went in my own car, picked him up from the Greyhound station, brought him in, signed his lease. I couldn't get his keys ready. They were getting his room ready. I let him sleep on my couch. So wow. I told that story at the thing. President comes up to me, hey, you what we need. Listen, the first manager spot we get after you graduate, I'm sending you. He emails me the next day. How you feel about West Virginia? I was like, West Virginia? There's no black people in West Virginia was my first thought, and it's cold. So I said, you know what? I'm about this mugger.
Let's get it.
I'm going to West Virginia, apparently. Right. I'm telling my mom, I'm all hype. I'm excited. So I ended up catching the flu the next day or the next couple days, and we had to do what is it called? Not a career fair, but a campus fair, housing fair. Mm-hmm. So I go to the housing fair literally with the flu, but I had just graduated. So all of my other colleagues were at school, so I had to go. And I'm telling my manager, she was like, oh, you just don't want to go. She's not believing me that I have the flu. So she sends me and the marketing manager from Gainesville. The marketing manager comes up from Gainesville to help me. I'm there just in the poopiest mood ever. I'm like, you got me out here. It's cold. And like, I don't know if y'all know about Tallahassee cold.
Tallahassee gets cold.
It's like 30 degrees cold. And I'm out here in a hoodie, like just pissed. You know what I mean? She got me talking to people, and she's like, "Why are you in such a bad mood?" And da 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 da. Goes back, tells my manager I was a horrible employee. My manager pulls the plug on my West Virginia gig.
Wow.
She pulls the plug on my West Virginia gig. I never forget. I was so upset. I said, "You know what? I'm not gonna flip this table." I made a decision. I said, "You know what? Okay, cool. So you know what? You want to play with me? I'm gonna play with you. Let's play. Since we playing, let's play."
Since we playing.
So I go on my computer. I type up my resignation letter. I print it in her office. Hey, how you doing? You know, da da da. Oh, great day. Let me get some cookies. I hand her my resignation letter while she's in there with the because the people came down from College Station. They were in there having a meeting with her. I handed her my resignation letter in front of everybody, and I walked out. And she was like so embarrassed, and she was like, "Well, you know, since you're quitting, you only have 7 days to stay here." And I was like, "Ooh, didn't read the handbook." So I say, "Okay, fine." And I say, "You know what? What God has for me is for me. So I don't care. You're not gonna twist my hand like this. I'm already making minimum wage."
Yeah.
So I was like, "What can be worse?" So I go in my house, pull up my laptop. I got my portfolio already. I email my portfolio to 4 companies on Craigslist. And back home, the first company that I emailed, they called me 10 minutes later, and they said, "Hey, can you come in for an interview?" I said, "Honestly, I'm in Tallahassee right now. I'm trying to figure out my situation. I have to move." And he was like, "Well, can you come in 2 weeks?" I said, "Y'all can come in 2 weeks." I was out of Tallahassee in 3 days.
Let's get it.
And the job was actually in my field. Yeah. Listen, I'm always going to bet on me first, second, third, and fourth.
That's the only person I bet on.
Yeah, I can't.
Trust anybody else.
So, and the job was as a package designer for a dietary supplement company. So it was in my field.
Yep.
I'm a designer. And I say, okay, let's get in the game. I felt like I got drafted in the second round, and I was sitting behind somebody, and it's like, okay, now I'm in the game. I guess I got to shoot. So, you know, I worked there for like 6 months. Hated it. Oh, hated it.
Yeah.
I quit.
But it was good for you because now you know what you don't like. One other thing you don't like doing.
I know I didn't like sitting in a cubicle designing pills, but I do have 3 SKUs still in Walgreens right now. I design raspberry ketone chews, gluten cutter, and acai berry chews.
That's dope.
So yeah,
that's dope. That mirrors. It goes to the fact of always be ready. Always be ready. Like I tell my students now, like just be ready. Have your portfolio. Keep your portfolio updated. Be ready to talk about your work. Remember how you used to have y'all talk about your work? Like that was very important. Like just don't say, "Here's my work." Like why is it dope? Like why are you redesigning it? Why are you using orange? Why is it a circle? Why is it a swoosh?
I remember the project. I can tell you.
Tell me.
I remember it vividly. So it was a 4-step project. We had to get it binded. Nobody ever got anything binded before. He forced us to get it binded. And he gave me a company. He gave everybody companies. Mine was a limousine company in Las Vegas. And I remember the small detail I had that like really blew everybody's head. I had a limousine at the top of the page on the first page, and the limousine would get further and further across the page as you flipped it. And you were the only person that noticed it. You was like, "You know what? All right." I was like, "All right." Yeah.
Right.
I remember it was a limousine company in Vegas.
If I was on my game, I probably had some of those old work because
I still got mine.
I think it's on some discs I have in my garage up in Ohio.
I still got it. It was called OBS Limousines.
I remember that name.
OBS.
Well, maybe that's because OBS, the software. But
it was OBS Limousines.
That was basic?
It was,
that was the basic graphic design or the?
That was the 3rd level, I think. That was like a junior senior class.
Okay.
It wasn't a lot of us. I remember it was me. What's his name?
How he's doing?
Yeah, me too.
He was a hard worker.
Yeah, he was.
Like he improved.
He sucked though.
In the beginning.
He still sucks. I'm sorry.
You don't suck.
Oh, he might see this. Brandon doesn't think you suck. But I think you suck.
Actually, like I think. So you
don't suck as a person. Like as a designer, I don't think you're good.
That's like one of the I don't want to call it a benefit, but one of the.
I'm competitive. I'm competitive though.
Well, I just got finished telling my students how to be competitive. I'm gonna give that.
Yeah.
Don't let me use that thought. Competition. But students like him, I remember when he first came, and I wouldn't even use the word suck. He He didn't know what he was doing. He was new.
Yeah.
He didn't do it in high school. He just kind of like, this is what he wanted to do.
See, the thing is, he lacked the eye and awareness of what good design was. So if you don't know what good design is, or you don't know like your lane in design, because design can be different. Like you got cubism, you got neo-expressionism, you got a bunch of
By his
different
senior year,
styles.
he developed a style because I was on him about a style because he would be all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, he would be all over the place, and that was his personality.
It was still bad.
I remember sitting him in my
Let's
office.
not use him.
I remember sitting him in my office and like on my whiteboard
Yeah.
and having him go through prioritizing his time.
Right.
You know, it was just like, so anyway, one of the perks of teaching is you see students grow.
Yeah.
And to be honest, he demonstrated some of the biggest growth.
He did.
Not saying he went from here to superstar.
It was straight by the end.
But it was just like, and I knew after he left, he was going to keep growing.
Yeah.
Because, I see him on LinkedIn sometimes. Like, the dude, he has that drive. And a lot of times, I'll take a person with drive over a person with talent.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
They don't cultivate it usually.
Like, he'll work.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I had a different Yoda though. My Yoda was Jason. Jason was my Yoda, or my Obi-Wan, which I don't know which one. I never seen Star Wars either. But yeah, I know.
This dude.
Yeah, I'm not really into the whimsical movies, but I remember because Jay used to just always be doing like this cool stuff, and I would always be like, I wish I could do stuff like that. Until another person was a Viteris. I just admired to this day.
He was talented.
I love. I hope he watches this, man. I love Viteris. I tell him every time I see him, I don't even know him still. But like I would always look at Viteris' stuff and always look at how he used the concept of light and shadows. Shadows and highlights. Like, because the thing about depth is you can't achieve depth without shadows and highlights. So, like, I just like the way that he control, even to this day, he has a photography company, and light photography is all light.
Yeah.
So, like, he just is probably one of the best people I've ever seen manipulate, like, the use of, like, artificial light.
He was talented. He had an eye.
He had a real good eye.
He had a, sometimes, some people will say you can't teach that, like that, what you was describing.
You can't teach an eye.
I think you could teach it a little bit, but it takes a long time.
You can only teach technique.
You can teach technique. You can teach what works and what doesn't work. So me, I'm not all about aesthetics.
Yeah.
If it's all about aesthetics, then it's just art to me.
Yeah, it got to be functional.
If it's functional, then it's design. It's a delineation to me. So it's less so. It's beautiful.
Using your teacher words,
bro. It's a delineation. And I'm mad now, we're detail oriented. I don't have my divider right there. It should be yellow. I'm mad. I don't even want to mess with it because it mess with it. But that should be yellow to match the brand. But anyway.
You can make it in post production.
I could, but we'll see. I do add music to the beginning and the end though. That's one thing I added.
What song are we gonna use?
I just used something I made, so I don't have to worry about copyright.
You make beats?
No. But I have made beats, and I'm using my beats that I've made.
You know what you should use?
What?
You should beatbox.
So look, he hasn't seen any of these before.
Yeah.
The first episode, I say that. I say, you know what I should do?
I know him.
Beatbox the intro.
I know him. I know what he wants to do. I'm just gonna help him. I'm just gonna help him push it.
Just imagine these students here.
Yeah.
I beatbox in some of the classes.
Yeah. What they be like? Oh my god.
I rapped in some, freestyled in some of the classes.
Oh god.
It's like teaching them, how I feel about freestyling, brain exercise. It's brain exercise.
Yeah.
But what I asked you to not let me forget. Damn. See, I knew I was gonna forget, but that's all right.
It was something we were talking about, and we was talking about
growth. Blah blah blah. It's all right. That's what do tangents. We on another tangent.
Yeah.
So you was telling the story. So you got the package design job, 6 months, and then what you do?
After that, it was that actually connects right into the next part of the story. I picked my sister up from school one day. My sister was a student. She was still in high school when I graduated college. I'm like 5 years older than my sister. So I was kind of home. My mom was like, go pick your sister up, blah, 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 blah. So I picked my sister up, and then I picked her up, and then I said, okay. I went to her office, and then the principal was actually my grandfather's cousin. Mm-hmm. I guess that makes her my cousin too. But anyway. So she was like, oh, what did you go to school for? And I said, I went to school for, graphic design. She was like, oh, my God, baby, I got something to tell you. I said, what? She said, I'm looking for a digital design teacher. And I said, oh, or not a digital design teacher. It was called digital arts or something like that. I forgot.
Okay.
But I'm looking for an art teacher. And I said, okay, well, what does it pay? And she says, we're a charter school. So we go kind of based off of experience, and we start a little higher than the district. And I said, oh, okay. I'm interested. And she was like, yeah, you get the whole summer off and all the vacation times. I was like, oh, I'm in. And it was more than my first job. So and mind you, I picked her up from school that day, and she talked to me about it. I didn't talk to her again until 2 weeks before school started. I had nothing. I had to go to the district, get my fingerprints, get all this stuff. Listen, not ever being in a classroom, no formal teaching of how to be a teacher. Took a crash course in teaching.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm 22 in a classroom with a 19-year-old, teaching a 19-year-old. So I'm like, okay, like this kid's
Wait a minute. You were teaching 19-year-old? Wait, this is a charter school, a K through, what was it, high school?
No, it was a high school, but they just were really old.
Okay.
Because think about it, a senior is usually 18.
Yeah.
So, well, sometimes 18.
They could be 19 too.
Yeah, I graduated at like 17. So
I graduated at 17 too, yeah.
So yeah, but I had an old kid, but I just I remember the first time. It's almost like when you go to jail, right? They say the first thing you do.
I wouldn't know about that.
Neither, actually.
But, yeah.
But it's like, the first thing they say, you go to jail, like, oh, look for the biggest person and punch him in the face.
Yeah.
So I found out who the comedian/bully was. Oh, I made him stand in the corner the whole class. He said something that was like not funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, at least be funny. I said, you know what? Since you want to be funny, I like to be funny too. Stand up and go stand in the corner. I got reprimanded for that, though. The principal
I can see that.
Yeah, I made him stand in the corner. I didn't care. I was trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. Nobody tried me for the rest of the year.
Word.
Nobody played with me for the rest of the year, so it worked. Whatever it was, it worked. And ironically enough, his mom was friends with my mom. So I came home one day, the first day, and my mom was like, yeah, I'm talking to so-and-so. And she was like, yeah, she said one of his kids' teachers made him stand in a corner. I said, huh, that was me.
That was me.
And she was like, no, it wasn't you. I said, it was me. I made him stand in the corner. And I do it again.
Hey.
But
You got to make your point somehow.
But yeah.
You know what that kid was to me?
Who? It wasn't me, was it?
You.
Oh, word?
Not in the sense of being disrespectful or anything. In the sense of you were outspoken.
Oh, yeah.
You always had questions. Like, and it wasn't even questions. It was like, I would say a concept, and you like, well, and you was, like my dad told me, it wasn't like that, but you know how that tone is? Like,
Yeah.
well, I know it to be this.
Right.
And then I would have to and then we would go back and forth. Mm-hmm. So the whole class seeing that, like I wasn't backing down.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, in the beginning, I was trumping you. Mm-hmm. And then you were like, oh, okay. And it was like, since you were like a big personality and you're a big guy.
Mm-hmm. It looked bad.
It just looked like you the big dude in the yard. Right?
Yeah, I'm the biggest and the realest though still.
Yeah, so and I was like, you can't be the biggest and the realest. Like I gotta be the biggest and the realest. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And
and
really just to gain your respect.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, and
it's like a test.
But I mean, that's what I always liked, the credibility aspect of it. And I remember the first time I did we had office hours, and I almost had this it was so funny though. I don't think I ever told you this part, but my friend had a beef with you. My best friend, my Yoda, had a beef with you because I remember, I don't know why he didn't like you. I don't think he still don't like you, but it's just so weird. And I just, because my thing is an injustice to one is an injustice to all. So I'm riding. So I don't know what it was, but I remember what changed my whole perspective. I came into your office hours one day, and you were listening to Action Bronson. And I was like, Action Bronson from my teacher? I was like, what do you know about Action Bronson? And I was like, all right. Because the thing is, in order to respect people sometimes, as a child, I used to kind of have to like you a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, like, that was cool. That was like a good little middle ground because I'm a music guy. So I'm like, okay. I can dig the guy.
Word.
It's cool. But because, like I'm saying, I'm coming from like, listen, I don't think he knew at the time. I don't think you knew at the time, but my dad's a mural artist at this time. Like, ain't nobody over my daddy. My daddy is Hulk Hogan in my eyes, still Hulk Hogan in my eyes. So
Which
it's
he
like,
should be, right?
It's like, man, no matter what this dude says, I know somebody right now getting 40 G's a mural. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, my teacher needs to be credible if he's going to teach me, because I got somebody to go back to. But my dad wasn't more so a digital designer, but my dad could draw anything. Like, he just was an artist in every sense of the word, artist. So, like, that was kind of like my thing. And I had to kind of like understand that art is like music. You have different genres.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, he might be a mural artist, you might be a digital artist, or you might be some other different affiliate of just like, you know, art. You know how they have the branches. So like, that's kind of what I had to understand, that, hey, yo, listen, to be well-rounded, you should probably figure all of them out.
Right.
Just so you can communicate.
Yes. Different fields, different, and as a professor, as a teacher, as an educator, just as a mentor, as a whatever, if you're like commanding people,
Right.
you have to have respect. You don't necessarily have to have love.
You don't need love.
You know, you need to respect though. And when it comes to, so, you know, as a teacher, you know, you meet different kids every day. Like, you just meet different personalities. But when it comes to like, if a kid has a mentor already,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's their parents, whether it's another teacher, if they've learned what you're teaching them already in some other capacity, then that's always going to be, I don't necessarily feel like I got a trumpet, but it's just like, I feel like I have to have a conversation. Like, let's talk about it. It's not like my way's the highway. Tell me why you think your way's the best way. Right? So it's usually a conversation. That's what we usually have. That's what I remember. Like, we would have conversations, and a lot of them will be in class, like in the class. Like, we would be going back and forth in the class.
My attitude was just like, I felt like, let's say they might not have known, because I didn't really know them that well, because like my friends weren't really designers. My friend was my Yoda, he designed, but he wasn't in none of my classes. Mm-hmm. So it was almost like, okay, this is kind of new to me. Like, my friends don't really, like, even how I got to FAMU, even just going back in the story, I wanted to go to UCF. I thought I was going to UCF. I played football, and I just was like, I really want to go to UCF. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. I just wanted to go to Orlando. My best friend was going to Orlando, and I just was like, my mom's trying to break me up with my best friend.
Right.
I ain't like it. She just wanted me to go to FAM because my brother already went to FAM for no other reason other than to have somebody watch me like I was a child.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable for them. So, you know, I was already there with like a chip on my shoulder. I feel like I got drafted by the wrong team. So, but as I got there,
you know, it felt like that.
It did.
It did.
I feel like I got drafted, but at like anything else, like my attitude towards everything, it's like, okay, well, how can I make the best of this situation? I just have to kind of adapt to my surroundings. I'm not leaving. I can't go home. You know, it just was what it was. So I was like I said, I was a history major, but why am I saying this?
You were talking about kind of how you even got to FAM.
Oh, but yeah, so just even how I got to FAM was just, I kind of was just like thrown at the wolves pretty much. So I had to kind of learn, like I didn't have no friends in the class. So I kind of felt like, I was like, okay, I felt like Bronny James almost. Like, my dad's LeBron. You guys might not know that my dad is LeBron, but my dad is LeBron. So I feel like you guys are going to try to give me the best game. And I have to let you guys know that I'm not the guy to slap.
Like, just give me the degree. Just give me the degree.
Yeah, give me the degree. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, I'm gonna figure it out. But the concept, I had the eye. And the best thing about how me and Brandon got cool is because I was like, I'm a student of the game. Like, I'm gonna go take 500 shots when nobody's looking. I'm gonna go take 500 shots when nobody's in the gym. I'm gonna work on my craft. I'm gonna use the pen tool and trace. Like, I used to use the pen tool. I would trace something new every day. I would make 1,000 layers on Illustrator, which nobody does. Yeah. I would make 1,000 layers. I would trace different pictures. I would trace different women. I would just trace, and get my pen game strong. Wow. Because I knew how important it was to just everything. Because, like, if you can make it vector, you can expand it or you can put it on anything. So I just was like tracing. So I just already felt like, I was like, yo, you know what? It wasn't like Bron. It was like Kobe. Like, oh, I'm here at 5 a.m. I know y'all not here at 5 a.m. Y'all gonna have to give me y'all best game because I'm coming to drop 50. Every game, I'm coming to drop 50. I'm gonna come and drop a texture on something that kind of completely changed the whole look of this picture, or I'm gonna add a little detail to maybe the eye that's not on the back page or something that's repetitive, change it up a little bit just to kind of give it the best detail. I'm going to send it to my design friends and my dad, and we're going to go back and forth, and I'm going to come back with like this sharp sword, and I'm like, oh, I'm killing it. Like, and I would always look like a couple weeks later like, damn, I don't think I was killing it. But I felt like I was killing it.
This is what happened. Like I said, this 50 years ago, but it was like
I was killing it.
I remember this. Like, I remember your attitude towards that, and I could see you working. So I was never. It was like I was always like.
I just wish they were more competitive.
I was cool with the work. Like, you're working, and you would put in work, and you would almost drop it on the table, our critique table.
Oh, he would eat it up. Oh, God. I would be like, I got something so fire. And he'll be like, man, the spacing on these words, using the wrong font. Like, what is this? I'd be like,
but to your credit, it wasn't like you would sit back like, but we would go back and forth.
Yeah.
You would tell me why you did it. Mm-hmm. Why you put that over there? Because I would ask you, like, why? It's not like this is trash. I wasn't that professor. There are design professors that would just rip it up, stomp on it, type of.
Nah, it was always like, listen.
Let me know why you did it.
Let me know why you did it, and let me tell you why. Not that you shouldn't. I'm going to tell you why it may be not as user-friendly if you're giving this to a client. Hey, you don't use bold fonts as body copy. You don't have 3 to 4 fonts on one image. You stick to 2 or 3, da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, okay. I would internalize it, and I would come back.
And
it's
it'll
almost
be better.
like shooting free throws. Come back, and it'll be better. And the next one, like I remember that project, the OBS one, we had 4 versions. And I looked at the first one to the 4th one, night and day.
Right.
Night and day.
That's the dope. That's the dopeness. Mm-hmm. That's where the dopeness happens. I should have like a video thing, the dopeness. I should have a tangent, and I should have a dopeness meter.
The dopeness.
The dopeness. I'm thinking of all these things.
Wait. Yeah.
But that's what happens.
You know what it should be like?
What?
Like comic strip time, like pow.
Yes. Tangent.
The dopeness.
The dopeness.
You ever seen Lil Yachty's podcast?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. Lil Yachty has like the best podcast show. Like he has like captions and like little pictures popping up when he's talking, like definitions of stuff.
So, okay. You should see, I have some notes on this phone, and one of the notes is regarding this, before I even started this podcast, was, you ever heard Chappelle's Midnight Miracle?
No.
So put that on your list. So Chappelle, Mos Def, and Talib Kweli, they have a podcast called The Midnight Miracle, and they do it in Dayton at Chappelle's like farm.
Oh yeah. How old is it?
It's new. Like, I started listening to it a couple years ago. But
so it's like, how many episodes? It's like a bunch of episodes?
Nah, it might be like 2 seasons. So maybe like 20 episodes. But it was on Luminary. It was only on Luminary for a minute. But now you can find it, I think, everywhere. But it was only on Luminary, and it was actually in its the way they produce it is like an album. Like, the podcast, it's like with music and sound effects and cut scenes and this Chappelle being funny as hell. It's like heavily produced. It's not. It doesn't feel live at all. It just feels.
Is it still in its infancy? Like, it's still like.
Nah, it's like produced. It's listen to it whenever. Midnight. It's called The Midnight Miracle.
I'm gonna listen to it. I got a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow.
So it's produced, and I wrote on my phone. I was like, I
like the one ear thing.
Produce the podcast. Like, shoot it and then produce it. Add music, add video, add cutscenes. I don't know if I go that far, but I just wanted The Midnight Miracle. Check it out. It's a dope podcast. But when you say Lil Yachty with the cutouts and stuff.
You got to do, if I listen to that one, you got to listen to the episode of the Lil Yachty show.
I will.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear him speak, not to say that I expect him to not be intelligent, but
it gets cringy sometimes because he's still 25.
But he's not dumb. He's almost smart. Like,
he's extremely smart.
I watch him like, this dude, is this an act? I'll be feeling like he's acting like his rap persona is different than his real persona, which a lot of people do.
Honestly, I don't think so.
You think the same?
Because you know what?
I don't listen to his music enough.
I wasn't a huge fan.
Tangent.
I wasn't a huge fan prior to, well, you know what? I became a Lil Yachty fan around Little Boat 2.5, like his like third or fourth album, because I could see the growth from the beginning to the like. Because I mean, he had like the Cold Like Minnesota song, and I was like, I'm grown. This isn't for me. But like as his music started to mature, he started to get better features, better beats. I started to I kind of started to catch his style a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, this is his style. So now his music to me sounds like I hear his music and everybody else. That's when you can tell it's like catching on. But his podcast is really cool, mainly because of it's him and his buddy Mitch, and it's just like if you watch, I really start becoming a real fan off of his YouTube vlogs. He has like a YouTube show, like prior to almost like a reality show, and it's just like, yo, he's doing everything I would do if I had money at like 23. Buying a bunch of Lamborghinis, a bunch of cars, art, whole house is full of the big cars, dolls, and he has like, it's just like a playland, like a mental playland, like of everything that you would buy if you had the money.
Word. No, I can dig it. Like, I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
It's funny. It's a good watch.
Yeah. What's it called?
I gotta look.
I'll just look it up. Lil Yachty podcast.
I gotta look it up. I forgot.
So, you're teaching, and now you're not teaching. What happened next?
So, as a teacher, like I said, the first thing I wanted to be was credible. So I became credible, but I began to feel like it was almost like a hamster wheel. You know what I mean? Like a hamster wheel. Like a hamster is using the wheel until the wheel kind of runs out, and the wheel kind of rusting and running out will be the end of the year. You know, the burnout. And I get a new hamster wheel, but it's like the same hamster wheel. It's the same wheel. So, you know, it's so funny that I think I told you my second year teaching, I was like, hey, I'm using your curriculum from like class. So like I had my kids using the time-based design curriculum for the After Effects class, and I was teaching After Effects. So
that's right. You told me that.
I taught After Effects for a minute. So it was cool though, because I kind of felt like as a black man, my service was done. You know what I mean? And I always tussled with imposter syndrome. Like, it's like, yo, I'm kind of telling these kids every day to reach for the stars and go after their dreams and trying to motivate them. But I'm 24, 25. Have I really lived out my dreams yet? Have I really reached my pinnacle? Like, is this it for me? And then the real thing was like, I looked at one of my assistant principal's paycheck and I was like, I make more money than him because I was designing already. So I was like, yeah, I make more money than you already. This is not my peak. Yeah. Like, this isn't my peak. And I mean, at the peak of everything that I kind of do, I kind of want to, like, listen, there's no such thing as a starving artist. If you're good, you're going to be paid. Ain't nothing starving about me. So
now you're a true hustler for real. I will give it to you.
We're not starving. We're not doing the starving artist thing. And I think that was really from my dad. Like, I didn't see my dad do the starving artist thing. Like, his murals were 40 G's. Like, my dad traveled the world. You feel me? He didn't die on his knees. So, like, that's something that always will forever resonate with me, because I just was like, hey, listen, man, you don't undersell yourself. If you're good, somebody's going to recognize it. If you market it the right way, package it the right way, brand it the right way, eventually you're going to get your worth, and your worth is what you take.
Yeah, man, that's what so my mentor, his thing is, he would always say nothing bad comes from good work. No. Like, I kind of live my life like that. Like, nothing, if you just do good work,
focus on
nothing might happen. You might just be stagnant for a while, but it's not going to be bad. Nothing bad comes from good work.
You're just going to have a paper trail of good work.
And then you're always going to be ready.
You're going to be ready.
When somebody needs some good work.
Sharpening the blade. Just sharpening the blade, getting better and better. Like, that's why I love the business that I'm in right now, because, I mean, I've done work for Nike, which was like a real full circle moment.
And tell people the name of your company.
Direction Branding.
Direction Branding.
Named after Mr. Crafts. Mr. Crafts. I made it's so funny. I made the name of the company like in my college apartment. I just was like Direction Branding, not Direction Designs, because it used to be Designs by Deontray. And I just was like, that's corny. I was like, that's corny. I don't want to put my name in it.
Yeah.
So I did Direction Brand because I was like, no, I'm a branding company. I'm not a designer. And I remember that my other classmates, like, they would always say, oh, so-and-so designs or so-and-so designs. I was like, y'all thinking too small. Y'all thinking too small. I always had a bigger picture. I said, no, I want to design. My goal was to design cereal boxes. I was like, I just want to design cereal boxes, but not as a employee. I want my company to be contracted to design cereal boxes and produce cereal boxes. So like I thought about the big picture, not just designing it, because I mean designers get paid, but not like they should.
You're right about that.
The money's in the production. The money's in the production. The money's always going to be in the production, which is why my company is like a quote unquote like a sign. We have a sign. It's basically a sign company division. So we wrap cars. We do large format graphics. We do t-shirts. So like Direction Branding is the parent name.
Yeah.
And you have Direction wraps, Direction shirts, Direction stickers, and Direction signs.
Word.
So like 4 divisions in it, just to kind of branch it off, just so it's like more palatable.
Yep.
So yeah, and I own Custom Trunks. Wow. And
You've been pumping that heavy.
oh yeah, it's trunk season, baby.
Yeah,
Trunk season,
that.
baby. Can I get an air horn?
Trunk
Season is upon us. Trunk season, baby.
You just check him out, Direction Branding. Find him on Instagram. The trunks are dope. Like it's like a
Custom Trunks. Wow.
It's like
wow.
It's like you don't think you need it until you see one. Like I would think I might want one of those.
Yeah.
Because you always need to put stuff in stuff.
What they're really marketed as is storage/furniture, custom furniture, custom storage for like college kids, for like dorms. Because you know how your roommate eats all your cereal, your roommate eats all your food, has a lock on it, got your face on it.
Word.
So yeah, and I also own Direction Branding Suites, which is the office.
The office. Yeah, and he has his own office space up in West Palm.
Studio space.
Yeah.
If you're a young woman or young man who needs space right now, we're directly catering to the beauty industry, nail techs, hair braiders, women in the beauty industry, or men. We don't discriminate.
No doubt. Shoot, I was thinking at one time. I mean, tangent. I was thinking about one time. So I cut my own hair. Like I've been fading my own hair since I went to college.
Oh, word?
Undergrad. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. You cut breaker hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaker's hair dope, right?
He got a tight fade.
Yeah.
He got a tight fade. I ain't mad at you.
I'm a designer. I do a lot of things well.
I used to cut my own hair in college too.
Yeah. So in between working and going back to school. Well, no, after going back to school or something, I was in my broke time. It was like a year of me being super broke because I was really trying to be this entrepreneur, trying to take over the world, and I just went broke, But I was thinking at the time, I was like, man, I could be a masseuse. I was thinking about all these hustles, right? But anything that
masseuse, pause. My bad.
I'm just saying, I was thinking of things that I was good at.
No Diddy.
But one of them was like, okay, barber. Then I'm like,
I don't like standing on my feet.
So this is the thing. I was like barber. But then I was like, so my girlfriend at the time, it was like she's spending so much money on her hair. Like the barber, you get like $20-$30 per head. Like they was getting like
try 70. I pay my barber $70.
See, I've saved about $1 million cutting my own hair every week. I cut my hair every week for the last 30 years. Like that's what I do.
Oh dang.
So I was like, but these girls, they're paying like a minimum $200 every time they go in there.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, shoot, I need to just go into a beauty salon and just do hair. Period.
Yeah.
So anyway, I remember thinking about that tangent, but
how long are these?
As long as I want it to be.
Oh, let's go. It's lit.
But it's really as long as the SD card. So we're gonna wrap it up in a minute.
What time we got?
We're about an hour 8.
Really?
Yeah. It don't seem like that.
Was easy.
Does it? Yeah.
We just catching up.
That's it. Might be a part 2.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's gonna be a Deeks.
No doubt. Oh, I've told him about it.
Yeah,
that's where I met my other guest. It was that Deeks just talking like, you should be on my podcast.
Yeah.
But I just want to get to, so how did you even start Direction Branding?
I started Direction Branding on my bed in my college apartment with my oldest son's mom sitting there. I just remember I got a job from WRLD to design a flyer, and I just was like designing a flyer, and I just was like, I'm a huge hip hop head like me and BR.
Word.
And I just was like, what's my tag gonna be? Like, what's my tag? Like, I was like, I can't put Designs by Deontray. It's just, my first logo was hideous. It was like red and, not red, it was like green and orange, and it had like a smiley face. It was crazy. But I was like, okay, what's my tag? And I said, you know what? It's time to make a logo. So I remember I still got like my first logo file. It's crazy. I'm such a hoarder.
Me too.
I'm a hoarder. So yeah, I remember I did it, and I just was like, okay, you know what? I thought about changing the name before to it was gonna be like Herd Marketing or something like that, and I just was like, you know what, yo, I'm just such a fan of nostalgia. I just was like, nah, this is my baby. I like, what, you gonna give your kid away? Like, nah. So I just built with it, ran with it, kept it. I've been direction branding since 2011.
Word.
So yeah, it just kind of went from freelancing to like learning, like the whole, like my last 10 years of just experience of just messing stuff up, getting stuff wrong, thinking like, you know, I don't want to do this no more, going into that whole writer's block situation.
Yep.
You know, being bad at stuff, not knowing what I don't know type thing. Just like, I would say that my dad truly, truly always gave me the confidence. Like I remember one time he made me do some business cards for him. Like I was doing something for one of his clients. He got a quick job. So he's like, yo, go design some business cards for this guy or whatever. He had like I remember the name. It was like World Star Restoration. He was like, design some business cards for him. I had a typo on like 6 different packs of 1,000 card.
Wow.
On everyone. He was like, why you just won't proofread it and send it to him? So if he makes a typo, at least we're not paying for it. I wasn't listening, being big headed, and that's like, and you know what? The thing I always reference back, I tell this story all the time.
Yeah.
He never once called me stupid. He never once got mad at me, raised his voice. He just said, no, just go back and do it again. He said, listen, just take your time. He just kind of handled me with child gloves. And I'll never forget that. It gave me the confidence going forward to just, even if I ever mess, I'm not going to cry, but even if I ever mess anything up, he always kind of had my back. You feel me? And that's super important because one thing about design, man, it's a confidence builder and breaker. Big, like, huge breaker because you're literally, you're like a comedian to the standpoint of you just want everybody's approval. You need approval. You can't get anything done without approval.
And you're putting yourself out there.
It's so emotional.
It's like you're really putting yourself out
you're just
there.
so vulnerable. It's such a vulnerable thing to like be in. I think that's like a part of design that people don't really touch on. It's one of the most vulnerable things you can do because it's like, well, artist, I created this picture and whether you like it or not, it's the picture. But as a designer, if you don't like it, I don't get paid.
You don't get paid and it doesn't work. And it may,
don't work.
in design, it might hurt somebody's business. It might lose money. It might, it could be some dire circumstances if the design doesn't work.
There's real consequences. Yeah.
Artwork that's just not your forte, just
won't buy it. Yeah, right. Somebody just, and if you're good enough and build up a big enough cachet, whatever you say is right.
Right.
You can't really. It's on the paint's on the canvas.
It's me. You know, art
the paint's
is me.
on the canvas.
It's all me. But design is all not me. It's everybody else.
It's a collaborative effort.
Word. Nah, like you touched on something earlier. I just remembered when you said when you was in when you was teaching high school. You made a curriculum loosely based on time-based design, what I used to teach at FAM, and that's what happens. It's like a lot of the stuff y'all saw was based on classes that I took at Ohio State and what my mentor. So the way I teach, I feel like
hand-me-downs.
I'm like a disciple of Brian Stone. Like he was my mentor. I'm like I picked up a lot, like the way I teach, especially the way I formulate classes.
Right.
And then it gets passed down to you, and then that's how it happens.
I use
that's
the
like
decimal system too, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, because it's like, okay, you have 8 weeks in a grading period. Mm-hmm. So the easiest way, if you build your curriculum once, you never have to build it again. You can just edit it. So it's like, yo, if I know what I'm doing every single week, and I just format it right the first time,
right,
I'm not breaking my neck trying to. I did lesson plans one time my whole 7 years. One time. I made them good the one time. I was attaching YouTube videos to tutorials to every like activity, and I just really broke my neck. It took me maybe a whole, not the summer. It took me like, I think 4 or 5 weekends to really, really solidify it. Because I was literally using all our old press projects. I was using the files for templates. I was like on FreePic and the other template websites, trying to find videos to match the templates. And I just took the time to do it once, and I never had to do it again.
Because you wanted to be, excuse my language, you wanted to be the shit.
Yeah.
Right?
You want to be credible.
You want to be the shit off rip. Because if I'm not the shit off rip,
you know, my favorite
I'm going to lose some people. They're going to leave, and I'm never going to see them ever again.
Well, my favorite saying is you only get one chance to make a first impression.
That's it.
You only get one chance.
Well, you know me. I think one thing I taught. So backtrack. I don't know if you remember this in class. But
Tangent.
This is my tangent. So I would always say, this is a stat I can't even figure out. I can't even find out where the stat is now. So it might be wrong, but
Yeah.
But it was like I would say, design. Being a design student is second only to medical school students as far as overall demand of the learner.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I remember that's one thing I taught in the intro design classes. I still teach it to this day.
Yeah, basic principles.
Just to get across that, okay, medical school students, it's stressful because they have to memorize and know a whole bunch of stuff because lives are on the line.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. But in design, it's so subjective.
It is.
That stresses a lot of people out because you could spend 12 hours on a project.
Yeah.
Come in, put it on the table. I might give you a D.
Yeah.
It might be D worthy because you didn't, it's not effective.
Yeah.
And it's subjective at the end.
I think the best grade I ever got was like a B.
Well, so it got around, and it was funny. It got around over the years.
She was a tough grader.
That y'all would say y'all would say it got to the point y'all would start saying it in class to like the new students.
Yeah.
They're like, Craft don't give A's. I was like, I give A's, but I'm like not giving them out like
Yeah.
I'm not slanging A's.
Yeah.
Some teachers slang A's, which
I used to slang A's.
you slang A's because I'm not saying whoever slang. Some teachers slang A's and it works, but some people slang A's so they don't get pushback.
Right.
And and the thing is, all those 5 years as a fam,
That hurts my credibility if I'm just giving A's to everybody.
bro. Think about this. And I was a tough grader, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Never had anybody going to the dean's office complaining about their grade. About
why?
me. Why?
Because we respected your grade.
Right.
Respect
And I
because you
always
told us
graded it.
why.
I told you
You
why.
had footnote like, yo.
Yeah.
I remember the maddest I was. It was on that OBS project. I was like, bro, I just spent 3 days designing this, getting it printed, and this Negro marked all on my pages. Like, it was marked up. It was like, I was looking at it like, yo, like, give me a break, yo. But you know what? I was never upset, though. I kind of just always took it back to the gym. All right, well, I did 25 shots yesterday. That ain't cutting it. I guess I got to do 60 today. You know what I mean? I guess we got to kind of just go sharpen this up because I'll be doggone
Right.
if I have those other guys in there think that they're better than me. I have to make sure I establish that I'm the best in here, and you guys are going to have to. And I remember.
Something to contend with.
Yeah, everybody kind of got that notion. We had we was at Statia's house. I remember. I never forget.
Mm-hmm.
We was at Statia's house, and it was like 6 or 7 of us. We had like a group project. And everybody was kind of showing what they was working on. It's almost like being a rapper and you in the studio and everybody kind of plays their music.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was like, I'm gonna let them show me their stuff. Trash. I said, all right. And I just kind of put my stuff out there and everybody kind of looked up. Like, you did this? It's like, yeah, I've been doing this. And it was like, wait, what? Because we didn't used to look like that. That class was really the only time everybody could kind of see everybody's work. And it was almost like it pushed everybody to be better because it was like, oh, I can't BS on this one. Like, we about to talk about it. And I don't want to look like the weak one. The people that didn't care. But I remember working at I got fired from Journey. Because
I remember Journey.
Yeah, I got fired from Journey because of just standing up. Like, it was the student we talked about earlier. He was Dirt. You remember Dirt? Me and Dirt are still good. Dirtbag. He had the moon. He had the tattoo in his head of the moon and the nose, the septum piercing.
I do remember that guy.
Dirt. Me and Dirt are still cool.
I remember when you say piercing.
Yeah. And I just always remember, I don't know, I'm attracted to weird things. Mm-hmm. So I just remember being like, yo, what are you? Not who are you or where are you, but what are you? Yeah. And I always just found it interesting. And I just remember we were at Journey one day and he walked past the glass and that's when we became really good friends. He walked past the glass and he was doing modeling and stuff because he always had this very weird Tarzan aesthetic.
He did.
Very run. He was weird before being weird was cool. Word. He was more so not weird, but Nirvana, rock star kind of weird. He was just so polarizing. And I remember he walked past the glass one day and a couple of my classmates, because I was doing Journey for the first time. A couple of my classmates were like, "Oh, who's that dude think he is? He looks weird. He has a head tattoo." And I just was like, "Hey, listen, we're not talking about him. We're not slandering him, because you know what? If he was in this room right now, you guys aren't tough guys. Ain't nobody going for that." Because I was like, yo, and if y'all do him like that, y'all about to do me like that, because I got 16 gold teeth in my mouth. And that's something that's just like, y'all not understanding. I'm from South Florida. It's not like it's just our aesthetic. It's just a South Florida. And I know you living down here, you kind of understand, like, it's a South Florida aesthetic. Like,
But there was a lot of, I mean, it seemed like most of the students at FAM was from South Florida to me.
Yeah. A lot of people were from South Florida.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was just an aesthetic. So like, that shit always rubbed me the wrong way. I just like, man, listen, we're designers, yo. Like, we are the weird kids.
We're the geeks on the campus. Let's
We
get
the
it.
geeks, yo. Like, but you know what? Y'all the geeks. I'm the cool one. Like, y'all the geeks. I'm the cool one. I'm the cool geek. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing cooler than being yourself. So I was like, I'm the cool one. I was like, y'all can do this whole corny thing, but I'm not with it.
Right.
But yeah, I remember that. I remember that like vividly.
It's competitive. Like, the way I treated y'all was, and the thing is about me, like, I'm a professional designer that's never worked at a design firm.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I worked at Nationwide Insurance. That's where I got my design chops. I worked there for 7 years as a designer, doing websites, doing prototype design. That's what I turned out to be. Like, I did a lot of prototyping, and so. But I seen the competition. I was an intern. I remember putting stuff on the wall, and then it's just like, I hope they like mine. Like, it might be the difference between me having a job or not.
Right.
So I liked that table we had, and it made it competitive, and it got to the point where y'all started coming to the table
Like, ready.
nervous.
Oh yeah.
Like taking deep breaths. Like, meet me in the photo lab.
Yeah.
And it's just like, lay them all out, and then just like y'all looking like. And then you remember I would sometimes I would order them without saying a word.
Yeah.
I would just like put them in a certain order, you know, and it was just like getting used to that competition, because it is competition.
Yeah. I remember the first day we did it, I was like, oh, the night before, I scrapped the whole first cover. I said, you know what? The cover has to be like, we're gonna judge this book by the cover. So I was like, no, my cover has to be like sick. So like, I spent more time on a cover than anything every time.
I was big on that. I'm still big on that.
Yeah.
You don't judge book. We all judge every book by every cover. Like, that's
Exactly.
what we do. You can say not to do it to your kids. It's not, from a personality perspective, from a realistic perspective. We judge every book. Like, we judge everything as soon as we see it. So there was two students. So it was they gave their final presentations in class today, and there was two students. You would have liked. I should have called you. You're gonna sit in one of these classes. So they had to redesign. Y'all had this class, a similar to this class, but it was a redesign. You had to redesign the website.
Yeah,
But you
that
had
was
to,
the same thing.
Yeah. So the same project.
It was a website, like it was a website booklet. Like you had to talk about. It was like a UX project.
Yeah, you had to research. You had to what's the competitors. You remember that?
Yeah.
So they did that, and two of the students. So the Park Mobile app.
Yeah, Park
and,
Mobile.
And then the Pay by Phone app, the two major ones. So one student decided to redesign Park Mobile. Another student designed the Pay by Phone app.
Pay by Phone logo sucks.
So that's my point. But they got to redesign it, and it's interesting because both students were student athletes too. One played hockey. One was a soccer player here. So I don't know if they were being competitive with each other because both apps have the same aesthetic.
Yeah,
it's like green and white.
Both green.
Yeah. And
why is that?
Why they use green?
Yeah.
I don't know. If I had to guess, it would be because if I had to guess, it would be because could go or they just didn't want to use blue. A lot of times when people they want to use blue, they'll just use green because they don't want to use blue, but they want to use blue. If that makes sense. So blue is like green is the closest to blue without being blue.
It is.
It's like a gold color. It's still like like green is a link color. Like you want to click on blue. Yeah. But if you make a predominantly app with a lot of blue in it, it almost comes across as neutral, boring.
Yeah.
Because you see blue in everything.
Right.
And also they might have used green. I don't know who came first, just so you know, it's kind of like CVS being across the street from Walgreens.
Right.
It's like they're very similar.
Literally the
They're
same.
right across the street.
They're literally the same company.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably whoever came first was green. They was like, we're just gonna make it. We're just gonna make it look just like it.
I remember we did an app. Yo, it's so funny. Going back, tangent. I remember we did an app. We had a project where we did an app. I remember the name of my app. It was like redesign an app and make hotspots.
Yeah.
It was in Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
Make hotspots. So I remember my app was called Encore.
Oh, okay. Tangent. And I made y'all make hotspots. It's basically what Figma does now.
Oh, word.
Yeah. That's basically what Figma does. You can make prototypes like we would have to do in Photoshop. Now you're just doing a Figma, but it's ingrained in the software.
It's easier.
It's made for UI. But anyway, go ahead. But
it was Encore. It was so cool because it was so ahead of its. It was so ahead of its time. The idea. Think about it. In like 2010, the app was before like the App Store even had a million kajillion apps. So it was I thought about it because I was working as an intern, like I told you earlier, for WRLD.
Yeah.
And it was a concert app. It was called Encore. So the purpose of the app was to be like, it was like social media before like every app was social media. So the prowess was not prowess, but the purpose was to go on the app, right? So like let's say you bought tickets, it would be like an extension or a plug-in for like Ticketmaster.
I kind of remember
any of these other things.
Yep.
And you would click on the app, right? And you only had access to that particular chat room if you had a ticket. So it was like a social media app for only people at the particular concert to find out where was the after party, where was the other activities going up into it. If you're selling merch, you can sell merch from it and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I remember Encore.
That's one of those things you come back to and just do it for real.
I really should have did Encore. I would be a
I had a
cajillion.
student in this class. They redesigned the Ultra Festival app.
Yeah.
And she actually went to the festival. That sounds like a great idea, to be honest. But that's another thing. So another tangent. That's another thing about FAMU being my first full-time teaching gig.
Yeah.
A lot more of those students of y'all were entrepreneurial.
Right.
So if I ask in class, like, how many people in here, like, after you graduate, you just want to kind of get a job, It almost be like a third of the people, maybe a half. Like, how many in here kind of want to start your own business? It's like 3/4 of the people. And I found that here, it's not necessarily like that.
Their parents probably have better jobs.
If for any reason.
It's that reason.
But the fact that was my first gig, it was like, okay, let me formulate these classes to like lean into the entrepreneurial stuff, because I was entrepreneurial too. So it's like not necessarily make dope stuff all the time. Of course, make everything dope. But let's come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Like I would give y'all like y'all come up with your own idea. Like we're gonna learn around whatever you're gonna do, but just come up with an idea. Like let's think about the idea, not just
think tank it.
How to use the software.
Right. Make it more that was the best thing about it, because everything was like practical.
Right.
Everything was always geared towards like practicality rather than just rotating the butterfly 5 times. You feel me?
Rather than just like
that was still a dope project. Don't take that as a dig.
And you want to think about it, like I taught that class, when I came down there in a week. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna teach Illustrator. Because I pushed back on that class. I was like, you can't teach 5 programs in 16 weeks. That's impossible.
I mean, it's an intro to them, though.
But that's why I freaked it, because there was a book. I still have the book in my office right now. I'll show it to you for nostalgia reason.
I want to see it.
Yeah. And I got all the underlines in it and all that stuff, because I was so another tangent going back. So I didn't have a place to stay when I came down, right? Because I came down on a weekend, like on a Friday.
Okay.
So I had to stay in this little like Roach Motel, because that's all I can afford. And they didn't have Wi-Fi. So only place I can get Wi-Fi was in the SJGC building. But
School of Journalism?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
J School, man.
J School. I never called it the J School because I wasn't part of the J School. I always had a thing about that.
You're such a hipster.
I was designed. I was not a part of the J School. I was put a D pause. But
hey yo, you need an AO button.
I stopped it.
We need an AO button.
I stopped that one. But so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the J School and I'm just gonna go there and do my work. But then the doors locked at a certain hour.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So I had to call security and I had to call Mukes and they had to let me in. And I stayed in there until the birds start chirping in just somebody's office. I was just commandeering somebody's office.
That was probably the downfall or the pitfall or the worst part, I would say, of the experience. It wasn't geared towards designers because it's like, yo, you gotta have a 24-hour access to some of these things because the best design is done at like 2 a.m.
Bro,
where
when
there's
the birds start chirping.
where there's no distractions. Why do you think rappers go to the studio
And
like
the pressure's
midnight?
on.
Yeah. Oh,
When the birds start chirping, you know class is about to start.
right.
You got to hurry up.
Yeah. 8
Like
a.m. 's
that's
coming.
what happens. And I just remember, so the next day I was like, okay, I spent the whole day in the J school. I didn't have an office yet. I didn't even have an office yet.
Right.
I just spent I just commandeered some, one of those common areas, and I was writing these courses. And I was like, yo, how am I going to teach? I'm going to start off with Illustrator. Like, how can I teach Illustrator in 2 weeks? Right? That's where the butterfly came. It's like, I'm not going to teach you, like, here's the mouse, go to File, New. It was like, no, make this butterfly, show it to me tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going to do it real quick for you, and then y'all figure it out and come tomorrow. And then you learn it.
I remember time-based design. You started off by saying, it's like, hey, I'm not about to teach you this program. And it was like, but I'm about to give you these projects.
And you're going to have to use this program.
But you're going to have to use the program. And we just was like.
You know who was tripping out the most on that?
Who?
I forgot his name. He ended up working for Nike, I heard.
Oh, the bald dude.
Was he bald?
Yeah, bald dude. I forgot his name.
He tripped out. I remember him tripping out. But then by like week 3 or 4, he was making like these After Effects videos with like 2 of him and him slapping 5 with himself.
That's funny.
Like he would really threw himself into it. Yeah. And it's just like, I'm not going to if I teach you how I use After Effects, then you're going to use it how I use it. I need y'all to use it how you want to use it.
I remember the first After Effects project I seen, and I remember, you was so hot when I brought it up in class. Can I talk about it?
I don't know.
You remember? It was with Otis Johnson, the jail one that Jason did.
I remember that.
Can we talk about
the booty monster or something like that?
Booty warrior.
Yeah. And I remember, but I let him do it.
You let him cook.
I let him cook.
You let him cook.
But I told him why I had trepidation about it.
You can't put it in your portfolio.
But it was a suggestion. I never told y'all what to do. It was always a suggestion.
I think I still got mine. It's on my YouTube.
Yeah.
It's the Muhammad Ali. I was like, I said, you know what? I know how to win him over. He loved boxing. I'm going to do Muhammad Ali. I was a teacher's pet. I used to, you know what? I was a more cerebral assassin. I was like, okay, I'm going to do something that he likes so I can get an A. And I was like, I remember it was I'm going to show you how great I am. That was the project. That. Yeah. I was like, I float like a butter. I had the B coming in. I had bars coming down. I was like, I'm killing it. I was like, I'm killing it.
I miss teaching that class.
Nah, that
fire. Class was fun to teach. And the thing is, I used to teach that class at FAU as an adjunct.
All right.
Yep, because I wasn't teaching it over here or at DMAC. But okay, shoot, I think I'm looking at the SD card. We got about 13 minutes. Now, you started direction branding, and it's trunk season.
Trunk season.
Just to put that out. Let me ask you. You're not done. So what's the next steps? What's the ultimate when I grow up? What's popping?
It's so funny that you said it. I feel like if this was a movie, the movie would start with that like question.
Word.
So like, what's next? And then
I'm all about what's next.
What
I used to say to y'all, what's the new hotness? What's the new hotness?
The new hotness.
I still do that to my kids every day. What's the new hotness? What have y'all learned in the last 24 hours? Just talk about it.
That's a segment.
Come on.
Write that down. It's a button too.
What?
The new hotness.
The new hotness.
Hot topics.
I got that from Will Smith.
Oh, word. It sounds like some Will Smith stuff.
Bad Boy. Men in Black.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, these the new hotness. Yeah. The glasses.
That's old and busted.
Yeah,
I'm the new hotness.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
That's fire though. That is fire. I see that callback. But what's next, man? Honestly, that's a good question. I got an idea. I don't even know if I want to say. I say it. So
okay. If you're serious about it, put it in the atmosphere. If you're scared about it, put it in an atmosphere. Because if you say it, you got to do it.
Oh no, we doing it.
Okay, do it.
So you know how you have those little remote control cars, right? like the ones that kids ride in, like a little bit younger than Breaker, like 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like they have Mercedes Benzes and Land Rovers. So there's these Jeeps, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked. So my buddy, one of my installers, he had I don't want anybody to steal it, but he
Scoot that way.
this way.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, he had his kid had one, right, a little Jeep, and I was like, I looked at it and I had an aha moment, like an epiphany, like almost like a brain blast, like a I don't know if you've ever seen Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah. Well,
Like a brain blast.
I know what that is.
And he goes in the ear and brain blast. So I was like, yo, I looked at it. So I took my phone. I went to the Alibaba website.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how you can take a picture of something and it'll find it for you?
Yeah.
Took a picture of it. Found 15 of them. So the Jeep comes a certain way, has a remote control for the parent too. And I was looking at it and I was like, well, how much are these a piece? And I was like, $128 a SKU. I was like, that's not bad. And I said, you know what? I went to my Amazon app. And I did the same thing. I took a picture. The same exact car selling for $480.
Wow.
So with my custom trunks website, my custom trunks business, we wrap trunks and things like that. I'm going to add it to the website as a new product, and we're going to wrap Jeeps and put like little kids' faces on them and make them custom. So custom Jeeps, wow. So that's the new.
That's the next hotness.
That's the new hotness.
I could dig it.
Yeah.
It's unique.
Very.
And it's a niche too. That's where you need to be. The niche. You got a lot of niche.
The riches and the niches.
You got a lot of niche products. It's dope. Like, what's my next thing? I always throw in the atmosphere. I haven't did it yet, but Cypher. Like, I think I told you about Cypher.
Cypher, yeah. What's like a cipher, but like
it's a cipher. Sky's the limit in the cipher. That's where Cypher comes from. And design thinking, just helping. You know how naturally just branding is really when I help people with their brands or their companies, is really I'm helping them with their company.
Right.
You know, I've been doing it for years and
changing the climate of it.
But I never get paid for it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I might get paid for the brand, but it's like I'm really helping you and giving you advice about your company and ideas.
It's a consultation. It's a consultation session.
So Cypher is the thing I want to do, like the big thing I want to do going forward, just helping people with their ideas. And I'm almost seeing how I can maybe mesh it with this platform. Is because so the last O Tangents, I'm talking about Patreon. I never went on Patreon. I heard about it. I always know what it does, but I never really messed with it.
I follow Rory and Maul on Patreon. That's my only Patreon thing. I like Rory and Maul.
I just saw this YouTube video of the founder of Patreon, and he was talking about it, and
I seen him.
I was like, if I established a Patreon, and I'm not even doing it just to get money.
This show could have a Patreon,
right? So I'm just like, at certain levels, then if you just have an idea and you want to flesh out your idea, and you need somebody to like help you flesh out your idea,
it's like a consultation episode.
Hit me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that Patreon would be perfect as a platform.
Because like Patreon is almost like how I was explaining to you earlier about the Brilliant Idiots. It's like this would be the Breakfast Club because everybody can see it, but it's like to go deeper into. Let's say we want to go deeper into one of the topics we talked about and just talk about that for an hour.
Yeah.
The fans of the show want to see you talk about anything, but they really like when you get deeper into
the super fans. That's what he's talking about, those super fans.
That's what Patreon is.
It might be only like 15 of them, but it's like you got super fans.
You got super fans. You got cult followers.
They'll like meet me down in Wynwood.
Right.
Like, let's go down to Wynwood and just hang out at the art studio.
Mm-hmm.
Jason still got his studio down there?
Yeah. I just went a couple weeks ago.
That's what's up.
Yep.
That's what's up. So I'm about to wrap this up. Anything else you want to add?
I think we covered a lot of things.
We're gonna we're gonna do another one. I'm gonna think about a different format. Cause you already said, I'm gonna get a graphic for that window, and I'm gonna put it up there, and I'm gonna think of a format. I wanna fill all these seats one day. I wanna have 4 people in here.
Okay.
Talking about something, and I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna hit you up. But I'm gonna get you one of my classes too, just as a former student who's now rocking it, and just tell them about what they about to get into when they graduate.
It's gonna be like Scared Straight.
They probably need that. They probably need that. To be honest.
That's your mother. Love your mother. Do not disrespect your mother.
The original Squarespace, not the the original ones was like nuts.
You look dusty.
Yeah, so we definitely gonna do something else, and I think that's it. So thanks for tuning in for another O Tangents, and until next time, peace. Oh, and I forgot, this is what I've been see.
Tangent.
Subscribe, like, comment. I'm trying to get that down. I need to make it like it's a video just to add to the end.
Like, comment.
Subscribe, like, comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, peace.